Have you ever wondered what the last thing you do before you die might be? I know exactly what mine was. The last thing I did was argue with my mom over a TikTok video. It was 4:27 p.m. on March 12, 2024. I, Ava Morgan, 14 years old, was sitting in the passenger seat of our old silver SUV, scrolling through TikTok for what must have been the 100th time that day. Maybe it was one of those filters that turns your face into a cartoon. Maybe it was some hot drama clip that blew up earlier that morning. Maybe it was completely pointless, but I couldn't take my eyes off it. My mom was driving, rain slamming against the windshield like arrows. She said, "Ava, can you help me with the map? I can't see a thing." I didn't even bother to look up. I was annoyed. She always interrupted me when I was in the mood, when I was scrolling. I thought I had more time to look up. Turns out I only had 11 seconds. The truck hit us from the left. I remember the sound of the brakes screaming against the road. I remember my mom's scream. I even remember the sound of my own heart stopping, not from pain, but because I never got to say my last words. The last thing I remember, before everything went black, was my phone slipping from my hand. And then I felt myself drifting. I was floating above, looking down. A brown-haired girl lay motionless, her face covered in blood, wearing the purple hoodie I always wore on weekends. A woman, my mom, was screaming beside her, being held back by firefighters. I tried to yell, tried to say, "Mom, I'm okay, I'm right here." But she couldn't hear a thing. That's when it hit me. I wasn't there anymore. How many more times do you think you'll scroll before you're swept away for good? I used to believe death was the end of everything, but it wasn't. For me, death was the beginning of something far more terrifying than the end. A white light pulled me in. It wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, just empty. No sound, no sense of time. I started thinking about all the times I chose a screen over my mother's hug. The times I turned away when my stepdad wanted to take me for a walk. The times I replayed my own story 10 times, but never once looked into the eyes of someone hurting right in front of me. I used to think I was one of the real ones online, but in that moment, I realized I had been dead long before my body stopped breathing. Are you still here? If you're watching this, you're alive. But being alive means being present. So tell me, are you truly present? Or are you drifting too, day by day, lost in the endless scroll? I lost everything simply because I couldn't put my phone down. But that was only the beginning of the story, because what happened after I died, that's what truly woke me up. And what Jesus showed me about you, about us, about this generation, will forever change the way you see every screen. Before I died, I thought I was living the kind of life everyone wanted. You know, the kind where people like your story just because you're wearing a white hoodie, hair down, with some deep caption that was pulled off Pinterest. I had over 10,000 followers on TikTok. Every dance video, even if it was just a copied trend, got a few thousand views. Sometimes I thought I was special. I lived in a small house in the suburbs with my mom, a strong, lonely woman who was far too patient with a daughter like me. She used to be a painter, but she gave up her brushes after my dad walked out. Now she worked at a bakery, starting at 6 a.m. every day, coming home around 8 p.m. And no matter how exhausted she was, she always knocked on my door and asked, "Ava, have you eaten yet?" Most nights, I wouldn't answer, or I'd just mumble, "yeah," to get it over with, then go right back to staring at my screen. I can't remember the last time I looked at my mom, really looked at her. Maybe it was when I was 8 and she took me to church and I cried because I was afraid of God. But after that, I stopped believing in anything except myself and my phone. I believed in views, in comments, in algorithms, in filters that smoothed my skin and blurred out the truth that deep down, I was empty. You know what the saddest part is? When thousands of people watch your videos, but not a single one truly knows who you are. I once posted a video of myself crying, not faking it, because my best friend had unfriended me. And when it got 8,000 views, I felt relieved. I thought maybe the pain was worth it if it got attention. Every day, I woke up with a screen and went to bed with one. Breakfast was TikTok, lunch was Instagram, dinner was YouTube Shorts. And my mom? She was just background wallpaper in the house I lived in. I couldn't even remember the smell of her hair or the sound of her voice when she used to read me bedtime stories. All I remembered was her voice getting quieter behind my door and the way her eyes would linger on me, then silently turn away. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't broken. I was just a child who'd been programmed to believe that to exist, you had to be seen. And if no one saw you, then you were nothing. There was a time my mom said, "Ava, you don't have to try so hard to be perfect. I love you even when you're messy, lazy, and moody." But I just smirked and said, "You don't get it, Mom. You're not online. You're old generation. You're an outsider." I turned my mother into an outsider in the story of my life. And the scariest part was that I thought that was normal. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel anything. Because I had gotten so used to replacing real emotions with reaction icons. I didn't know how to listen, only how to tap a heart and scroll on. How many times did my mom sit quietly at the corner of the dinner table waiting for me to say something, anything, while I chose to chat with strangers in the comments section of a video I don't even remember now? How many times did I edit my face in a photo but never bother to fix the cracks in my relationship with her? And how many times did I wish she'd stop bothering me when all she ever wanted was for me to just look at her? I never thought all those little things would become the last chances I'd ever have to make things right until I died. And it was only in death that I finally saw how every real moment of life had been traded away for a meaningless scroll. But you know what's even more terrifying? It's that after I died, I saw other kids still alive fading little by little in a place Jesus called the screen room. It all started with a single moment of silence, that eerie kind of stillness right before a storm when every sound gets sucked out of the world, like creation itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to break. And then it did. The truck came at us from the left like some giant beast breaking out of its cage. My mom only had time to scream, "Ava!" and I only had time to look up just enough to see the panic in her eyes. As for me, I didn't feel anything yet. I hadn't even realized I wasn't invincible. I don't remember the impact clearly, but I remember the sound of glass shattering, like the scream of a soul being torn apart. I remember my phone flying from my hand like a leaf ripped off a branch by the wind. I remember the smell of burning metal and rain slapping my face, and then nothing. A nothingness with no color, no scent, no shape. I couldn't hear my heartbeat anymore. I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel pain. I just felt nothing. And then I saw myself drifting, weightless, like a balloon with its string cut. I looked down, and that's when I saw it. I saw myself. I saw a girl in a purple hoodie, blood on her face, hair stuck to her cheeks like seaweed clinging to rock. I didn't realize it was me until I noticed the star-shaped necklace my mom gave me when I turned 12, the last birthday I ever blew out candles. I saw my mom kneeling beside my body, not crying out loud, just trembling all over. Her hands gripped mine, shaking violently, as if she could pour life back into me with whatever strength she had left. I saw the firefighters pulling her away, and she thrashed like a mother animal whose baby had been taken. I wanted to scream, "I'm okay, I'm right here, I can see everything." But no one could hear me, no one could see me. I was a shadow with no echo. I watched them lift my body, lay it on a stretcher, and cover it with a plastic sheet. I saw the world moving on while I was being left behind. That's when the fear finally hit. Not fear of death itself, but the fear that I was truly drifting away from everything I had ever known, ever had, ever loved, but never realized I loved until it was gone. And then the light appeared, not blinding like headlights, not hazy like dreamlight, but a kind of light you don't see, you feel. It didn't come from anywhere, yet it came from everywhere. It wasn't warm or cold, it was just right, like the perfect hug you didn't know you needed after a really bad day. I was pulled into it with no resistance, no fear, as if my soul already knew the way, had walked it 100 times before, but somehow forgotten. I kept drifting, floating through a space with no up, no down, no time. And as I moved, memories began to return, fragments of moments I had buried. My mom's eyes when I cut her off mid-sentence. Her quiet sobs the night I skipped dinner just because she took my phone away. The sound of her gently closing my bedroom door every night with no one on the other side to answer. I remembered everything, but I couldn't go back. I couldn't redo it. I couldn't make it right. And it was in that helpless moment, when I wanted to scream loud enough to shatter the void itself, that I saw him. A figure stood in the light, not blinding, but gently radiant in a way that felt almost unreal. The light didn't just surround him, it came from within him, as if every ray carried a memory, a breath of life, a whisper of forgiveness. He didn't have to say a word, but I knew it was Jesus, and I didn't even understand why I was crying. I wasn't in pain, no one had hurt me, but I wept as if every time I should have cried but didn't had come flooding out all at once. And he looked at me, not with judgment, not with pity, just looked, as if he had known me long before I was ever born, and still loved me, even though I had never really loved him back. I didn't know where I was, but I knew I wasn't in the old world anymore, and I knew something deeply important was about to happen, but I wasn't prepared for what I was about to see, a place Jesus called the most painful room he had ever stepped into. I stood before him, and I had no words, because every word that had ever made me feel clever, every phrase that once made me feel like I knew it all, every thought that ever made me feel superior, fell away like dead petals at the feet of something far too big, too bright, too real. All I could do was look, and he just stood there. The light from him didn't just shine on me, it shone through me, like it was revealing every crack, every wound, every lie I ever told, every glance I avoided, every time I hit block just because someone didn't make me feel good, every moment I lashed out at a friend with an anonymous message, every time I faked sadness just to get more attention online. He saw it all, and still, he didn't turn away. I didn't understand why. I thought he would scold me, accuse me, call out everything I'd done, but he didn't. He simply reached out his hand and said, "Ava, I want to show you this before anything is decided. I want you to understand why I weep, why I grieve, why I can't yet bring you home." I didn't ask anything. I just followed his hand into the light. Everything around me blurred, then sharpened again, like I had closed my eyes and opened them in a completely different world. In front of me was a room with no walls, no ceiling, no floor, just an endless space suspended in nothingness. Thousands, maybe millions of screens floated in the air like sleepless eyes. Each screen showed a life in progress. Each screen showed a child, some like me, some younger, some older, eyes locked onto a device, fingers scrolling, faces frozen like wax statues. I saw a little girl, maybe 9 years old, sitting in a dark bedroom, the only light coming from the bluish glow of a phone screen reflecting off her small face. Her eyes were red from crying, but her fingers kept scrolling, still watching, waiting for the next video. I saw a boy in a baseball jersey skipping dinner with his family so he could play video games past midnight. I saw a child sitting in the middle of a birthday party, but their eyes never left the screen, no smiles, no words, as if nothing around them even existed anymore. I turned to Jesus. He was watching those children with an expression I could hardly bear, the kind of sorrow that felt like the weight of the sky pressing down on the earth, yet still full of love. I asked him, "Where is this?" And he said, "This is where I see humanity every day, but especially my children. The ones who should be running outside, scribbling on the walls, laughing in the living room, asking silly questions that make their parents smile. The ones who used to ask if I was real, who used to pray for me to protect their teddy bear from bad dreams. Now, they can't hear me anymore because they're listening to too many other voices." I saw a child wearing headphones, bass thumping in their ears, and on the screen was an influencer talking about how to get famous by doing reckless things. I saw that kid's eyes glimmering, almost hypnotized, and I watched as tiny lights from their soul began to dim, fading slowly like a flashlight running out of batteries. I asked, "Why don't they stop?" And Jesus looked at me gently and said, "Because they think they're being loved, but in truth, they're being consumed by a machine that has no heart. I started to feel like I couldn't breathe because I understood. I had been inside those screens. I had once been a flicker of light in that very room, surrounded by millions and still completely alone. Then I saw myself on one of those screens. My eyes were cold, my smile was forced, my lips were painted bold, but my heart was empty. That video once got over 12,000 likes, but all I saw was a lost child. I collapsed, overwhelmed, and asked Jesus, "Why don't you do something? Why don't you just shut all of this down?" And he said, "Because true love doesn't force, it doesn't manipulate, it only invites, waits, and weeps when it's forgotten." I asked, "Then, do people still have a chance?" Jesus didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached out and touched one of the floating screens. Light spread from his hand like ripples across water, and I saw the screen begin to change. The 9-year-old girl had just set her phone down. She ran out of her room and into her mother's arms, crying for the first time in weeks, and her mother didn't say a word. She just held her and cried too. Jesus turned to me and said, "Hope begins the moment one person chooses to look up just once. That's all it takes. And if each person did that even once, this whole room would light up like shooting stars falling into the night." I wasn't crying for myself anymore. I cried because I finally understood I had been living as if I didn't matter in the bigger picture. But the truth was, every time I turned my back on my mom, every time I chose a lie over a hug, every time I chased a like instead of a real laugh, I had dimmed a part of the light in this room. I fell to my knees and said, "I'm sorry for living like I was the center of the universe, when the world is so much bigger, and you were right there all along, just waiting for me to see you." Jesus stepped toward me, lifted me gently, and said, "Ava, it's not too late, but you have to choose now. If you return, then live truly, but if you go back and let yourself be swallowed up again, you'll die a death no one sees, not even you." I nodded. I didn't know if I could do it perfectly, but I knew I wanted to try again. I wanted to lift my eyes from the screen and find the real faces, the real voices, the real arms that hold, before all of it faded into memories without names. Jesus looked at me, and the light around him grew just a little brighter. Then I heard him say one final thing. "Ava, you once asked where I was when you felt so empty. I was there, but you were busy watching someone else's story." But my journey didn't end there, because beyond the screen room was a place even more terrifying, a place where I had to face the future I was headed for if I didn't change. I thought I had already hurt enough. I thought that after seeing Jesus, after witnessing the screen room, after watching millions of lost souls, I had finally gotten it, that I had changed, that I had woken up. But no, I had only just begun to descend. The gentle light vanished, like someone had blown out the last candle. I found myself standing alone in a ruined city. The buildings had no windows, no voices, no signs of life, only giant screens floating in the air. And every screen was playing the same thing, a single image, over and over. A face I recognized, a face I knew. It took me a moment to admit it, but it was mine. It wasn't me. Now it was me later. An older version, but not a wiser one. I saw myself dressed in trendy clothes, lips unnaturally full, eyeliner sharp, hair curled to flawless perfection. Every angle, every feature was curated, edited, filtered, the desperate result of trying to be loved, even if it was all fake. That version of me was speaking on a live stream. I heard my voice, but there was no feeling in it. It was steady, hollow, every word delivered like it had been programmed. I was talking about how to stay in shape, how to make money online, and how to gain 1 million followers in 90 days. And behind me was a luxurious but empty room with white lights, cold walls, no photos, no memories, no real people. I looked around the city and saw other versions of myself, each one a new level of loss. I saw myself in a wedding dress, crying in a bathroom as my marriage fell apart. I saw myself lying alone in a hospital bed, the screen glowing brightly beside me, but no one coming to visit. I saw myself growing old with a talking robot cat because the real people had long since walked away. I screamed, "I don't want to become this. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to die while still alive." But no one heard me, not even the versions of me. They couldn't because they were too busy performing, too busy trying to please a crowd that wasn't even real. I started running through the streets, past the versions of myself who once hoped, once loved, and wanted to live authentically. I was searching for a way out. I needed to escape this place. And then I saw it. The only exit was a mirror standing in the center of the square. No frame, no border, just a flat, silver surface, cold as ice. I stepped closer and looked in. What I saw was me, not the curated version, not the filtered face. Just a 14-year-old girl, freckles on her cheeks, face puffy from crying, and a pair of eyes finally brave enough to face the truth. I touched the mirror, and suddenly I was pulled inside. No more light, no more images. I was falling endlessly, with no bottom in sight, as if the world inside the mirror was a bottomless void. And when I finally hit the ground, I found myself on my knees in the dark. No one else was there. No judgment, no pity, just me, alone with everything I had ever avoided, everything I had denied, blamed, excused, and scrolled past. I saw my mother's eyes the night I locked my door while she brought me tea. I saw my stepdad sitting in the kitchen holding the cat, waiting for me, because I had promised to eat dinner, but I stayed online until it was too late. I saw an old friend who once sent me a message asking for help, but I was too busy editing a video to reply. A few months later, they disappeared from school without a word. I saw myself speaking cruel words to my reflection. I saw my fingers typing harsh comments on someone else's video just to release the bitterness building inside me. I saw myself looking at real people, yet choosing to believe in fake images. I chased fame without even knowing what fame meant, when there's no one left beside you. I started to cry, but the tears didn't fall outward like they did in the old world. They flowed inward, burning through every part of my soul like fire. I didn't cry to be comforted. I cried because I finally understood. If I didn't ask for forgiveness, if I didn't choose to change, if I didn't cry out from the deepest part of who I was, every chance I'd ever been given would vanish like smoke. I no longer begged to live again. I only begged to be forgiven, to be given just one more chance to be loved, truly loved, not through a screen, not through likes, not through someone else's gaze, but by simply looking into another person's eyes and saying, "I'm here, here." I screamed into the darkness that I wanted to begin again. I wanted to love. I wanted to live. I wanted to lift my head. I wanted to say, "I'm sorry." I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to hold my mother. I wanted to eat dinner with my family without a phone. I wanted, just once, to hear the sound of my own heart beating and know it was still alive. I didn't know if anyone could hear me. I didn't know if anyone was out there beyond the darkness. All I knew was I had let everything go. Every mask, every layer. All that remained was my soul, bare, broken, and finally real. And in that very moment, I saw the light, a single, thread-thin beam piercing through the pitch-black space, and I knew Jesus was still there, still waiting, still listening, even though I had missed his call 1,000 times before. I didn't know if I was worthy, but I knew I wanted to be. And for the first time in my life, I understood what true repentance meant. But would he give me a second chance? Or was I already too late? I didn't know where that light came from. All I knew was that when it touched me, I felt lighter, as if every burden I had carried for years was peeling away, layer by layer, like smoke, like ash, like dead skin being shed to reveal someone new underneath. Not perfect, but more real than ever before. I saw Jesus walking toward me, not from above, not in thunder, not in blinding glory, but in a silence so gentle I barely dared to breathe. The light from him didn't dazzle me. It made me feel seen, truly seen. For the first time in my life, I felt like I didn't have to prove anything. I didn't have to win anyone over. I didn't have to perform anymore. I just had to be. He didn't say, "You are forgiven." He didn't say, "You deserve to live again." He simply reached out and placed his hand on my chest, right where my heart had once beat, and somewhere still did, even though I hadn't listened to it in so long. And from that place, I saw a small burst of light, like the first spark of life after the deep freeze, like a seed cracking open in spring after a winter that had lasted far too long. He said, "Ava, you will carry this scar, but it doesn't make you less. It's the proof that you once lost your way and found it again." He didn't promise I would never make mistakes again. He didn't promise life would be easy. He didn't promise that social media would disappear or that the world would change overnight. He simply said, "I will walk with you every step of the way, as long as you're willing to take the steps." I nodded, and for the first time, my smile wasn't for the camera, wasn't for anyone else. It was for me, for the life beginning to stir again in my heart, for my mother, for my family, for the children still stuck in the same darkness, hoping that one day, like me, they'll find a way out. I felt myself slowly being pushed out of the darkness, as if someone were opening the door to a room I had been locked in for far too long. Light poured in, and I felt suddenly weightless, like a leaf falling in the direction of the wind. I drifted back toward the world of the living, toward a reality I had once believed to be meaningless. And then I heard it, the beep of the monitor, the sound of the ventilator, and someone saying, "Ava's awake." Then came my mother's voice, trembling, broken, yet warm like the first light of morning. "Ava, can you hear me?" I didn't open my eyes right away. I simply squeezed her hand gently. And in that moment, I heard her begin to cry, not with words, but with a sound like a river that had been held back for too long, now breaking free and flowing straight into my heart. I opened my eyes and saw the hospital ceiling, the IV lines, and the white fluorescent lights. I saw my mom, my stepdad, and the people I used to think were just a bother, but now all I wanted was to hold them close. I didn't say I had seen Jesus. I didn't say I had crossed over into death. I didn't talk about the screening room or the city of ego. I simply said, "I'm sorry." And my mother didn't ask why. She just held me, as if she already knew everything, with the heart of a mother who needs no proof to forgive, no explanation to love. In the days that followed, I didn't rush to post, didn't rush to tell my story, didn't rush to turn my journey into content. I just slowed down. I looked at my mom more. I listened to music with my stepdad more. I took the dog on longer walks, and I started leaving my phone aside for longer periods. I began writing, not to go viral, but to remember what I had once forgotten. I wrote about all the times I had wished I could go back, and how this time I truly had. I wrote about the look in Jesus' eyes, about the words he didn't speak but I heard clearly, about the room filled with screens, and the painful truth that sometimes death doesn't come to take, it comes to return. I still use social media, but no longer to hide. I use it to truly connect, to remind, to share, and to call back those who, like me, once felt lost. I made a simple video, just me sitting in my bedroom, real light, no filters. I looked straight into the camera and said, "If you're watching this, it means you're still alive. And that is the most precious thing you have. Don't let it slip away just because you're too busy living someone else's life." I didn't know who would see it, didn't care how many likes it would get, but I knew this. If just one person heard it, if just one person looked up from their screen and saw their mother, their father, their sibling, or even just themselves waiting to be loved, then that would already be a miracle. I came back to life, but I don't live the same anymore. And now it's time I say one final thing to you, the one holding the phone, the person I once was. This message isn't meant to go viral. It's meant to remind you that you still have time, if you choose what's right, today. If you're still here, if you've listened to me to this very moment, then maybe you're a lot like I once was. Maybe you've quietly wondered what the last thing you'll do before you die might be, and you hope it'll be something meaningful. A hug, an apology, a look of real love. But then, you let each day pass with just another mindless scroll. I don't blame you, because I used to be you. I lived in a world where you had to scream just to be noticed, where you had to be beautiful just to be allowed to exist, where you had to constantly prove something just to be considered worthy of life. I know that feeling, that aching sense of being a soul slowly fading away because no one ever called you by your real name. So I'm not here to tell you how to live. I don't have that right. I'm not an angel. I'm not a saint. I'm just a 14-year-old girl who died, met Jesus, and was sent back with only one thing burning in my heart. I don't want anyone else to lose their soul simply because they didn't realize they were losing it. Maybe you still think everything's fine. I'm still smiling. I'm still posting every day. I'm still online every night. But you know what? Sometimes the loudest souls are the ones sinking the fastest because they don't want anyone to know they're scared, they're cold, they're empty, and they have no idea where to turn. So if you see yourself in me, if you see your own shadow in the screening room, if you've ever looked in the mirror and seen no one staring back, if you've ever wondered, would anyone cry if I disappeared? Then this is what I want to say to you. I would cry. And maybe someone around you would too. Because someone does love you, even if you don't know it. Maybe you've overlooked the glance, the message, the hug, but it was there. It's still there, still waiting. And God, He never left. You just haven't looked up.
You don't have to turn off your phone right now. You don't have to delete social media. You don't have to give everything up. You just need one small thing: to look up, look around, find a real face, and ask a real question. Are you okay? Do you need a hug? Can you listen to me for a minute? And if no one's there, then ask yourself, I'm here, I'm still alive, and I choose to live honestly. Because no one else can live your life for you, and if you don't live it, no one can live it in your place. No social media platform will ever be good enough to fill the space you leave behind. I'm Ava Morgan. I died while scrolling through TikTok, but I came back to tell you that life is beautiful if you're brave enough to face it. It hurts if you turn your back on it, but it's still so worth living if you know you're not alone. And if someone like me could turn around, then so can you. If you're hearing this, it means you still have time, but time doesn't wait for anyone. Don't just exist, truly live. If you're still here, if you saw a piece of yourself in this story, then don't stay silent. Leave a comment, a real feeling, your own story, or just one word: I'm still alive, so I know you're listening, feeling, waking up. And if you want to keep walking this journey with me, if you want to hear more stories that reach the deepest part of you, then hit follow. Not to make me famous, but so that together we don't forget what it means to live truly.